Hello, everyone, and welcome to Everything Iconic with me, Danny Pellegrino. I'm so excited for my guest today. We have Cameran. Of course, we all know you from Southern Charm, The Real World. You have a new book out, which I have behind me here. One Day You'll Thank Me. Cameran, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be on with you. You're so cute.
We actually met like very, very briefly on the BravoCon red carpet.
I was gonna say my next question was gonna ask, did I meet you at BravoCon? I met so many people that day.
Right.
It was such a crazy blur. But wow, what a fun time.
Wasn't it wild?
It was wild.
But Cameran, I got to say, when I interviewed you ahead of that, like Watch What Happens Live thing, and at the time, I forget the exact wording, but we were led to believe you were returning to the show.
I know.
So when did the decision come that you weren't returning? Was it around that time? Because I think you might have even told me, like, you guys were either getting ready to film or you had already maybe filmed a little bit.
No, well, wait. When was BravoCon? BravoCon was in
November of God. When are we right now? November 2019.
Yeah. No, I think we had just finished. We had just wrapped season 6 when I went to BravoCon, and yeah, I was on the fence about doing it. And at that point, I am a people pleaser by nature, and I tend to say yes to everything, and so it was a decision that weighed really heavily on me. And of course, I felt a lot of pressure from the network and the production company to continue. So I would say, no, I don't want to do this. And then they would talk me into it. And it was a big back and forth. But finally, my gut told me it was time to be done with the show. And I just ultimately, it was nothing really too deep. The best way to answer it is to say I felt like I didn't fit anymore. I just didn't fit, and I felt like it was just time to be done.
Are you happy looking back now? Do you feel good in that decision?
Yes. Yes, I definitely made the right decision. Filming these shows, it is a lot of fun, and I definitely don't regret doing it for a minute. But it's also very stressful, and there is, for me, there was a low-level anxiety that always came along with it, because you never know. You're always kind of on high alert as to what you say, who you might offend, how something could be edited or misconstrued, and it's a lot. You get paid well to do it. So most people, most people stay for that reason. And that is another big reason why I think it was hard for me to leave. Because, I was season 6, so I was getting paid pretty well. But my peace of mind it's better. Worth more, I think.
Was there ever any talk? I believe that they should have offered you a shit ton of money to just come in and be the narrator. You were the narrator throughout the whole 6th season, but I would think it would be beneficial for them to have you on as like the gossip girl, like Kristen Bell in Gossip Girl, where we don't even see you, but you narrate.
So part of me, and this is the truth, part of me also started to feel hypocritical in a way, because, I was kind of the Greek chorus of the show. I gave my opinion on everybody else, but I did not really show my personal life. I didn't show my husband. I really didn't want my kid to be on. And I got a lot of pressure every year. I was threatened a couple times that, if I didn't show my husband, I would be fired. And I said, well, then fire me. They never did. So there was pressure for me to do that. And I knew in my heart that was something that I was never going to bend on. And yeah, so that was another reason, is I felt like a hypocrite commenting on everybody else's personal business, but not really,
right,
showing. And when you're on reality television, you need to do that. And I get it. Like that part, I understand.
I mean, your life now, you have a child, and if you think back, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, does your life is now completely different. How are you doing today? Like, is it a weird adjustment? Does that make sense?
Oh, I, for the most part, compartmentalized the show. It was never the center of my universe. It was something fun that I did on the side, I felt like. And yeah, when you have a kid, your whole perspective changes, and you don't want to be, necessarily involved in the petty and the drama and the, all those things that come along with being on this type of reality show. And it's every season it would get a little bit more. It used to be a lot of fun in the early days. I felt like it was a lot lighter and a lot funnier, and it started to get a little bit too heavy for my liking.
And then it fell apart when you left, Cameran, this past season. I understand what you were saying. I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
You mentioned not fitting in. But then I felt like we lost so much when we lost you.
Oh gosh. Well,
I don't know. I don't know. That was my personal opinion, but I wish they could have just had you as like the Gossip Girl narrator and not even appear on screen, like just your voiceover at the beginning, because like that's all I wanted. But Cam, I was also a huge fan, and you talk about this in your book, of The Real World, and I'm actually interviewing the full cast of the original.
So cool!
They're coming back.
Doing that, yes.
So okay, cool. So Cameran, I've heard that they're also going to be doing that with some of the other seasons. Have you heard anything about that? Would you do something like that?
Yeah, so I know they're rebooting the original one and getting everybody back together. Obviously, everyone's at a totally different point in their life now, and I think that'll be really cool to watch. I know they're filming. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but they're filming a challenge.
Oh yeah,
like the OG people. They asked me to do it, and it was, I think, like a 7-week commitment to be gone. I can't be away from my kid for 7 weeks, so I had to say no to that. But yeah, if they were to do like a reboot to put us all back together in a house, oh my God, I would do it in a heartbeat. 100%.
I heard they're doing like 2-week things for that. So I mean, I feel like that's a doable amount of time, right? And
I would totally do it. And our cast, our season of The Real World, we to this day, remain friends. And I was actually talking to Randy Berry, who was one of my castmates just a couple months ago. And we're like, man, when this pandemic's over, we all need to it's been so long since we've all seen each other. But I totally would do it. I mean, The Real World was such a different experience than the whole Bravo, it's a totally different, not even comparable show.
Do you still watch any reality TV? Like, are you watching anything on Bravo or even any of the MTV shows, or what do you have time to watch anything these days?
I have been really into The Crown. I've watched the whole thing. That's been the latest thing that I've like actually binged. But it's like having been on reality television now, 2 different shows, kind of knowing how the whole machine works, it's hard for me to watch it and truly be entertained by it anymore, because I kind of know the inner workings, and I know that some people tend to perform for it. So it's hard for me to like take it seriously, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Documentaries are more like my type of reality nowadays.
I kind of got frustrated, not to go back to Southern Charm, but the hard part for me is I loved the seasons where the women were really the focus. And that's why I tend to really prefer Housewives. And this past season of Southern Charm, it was like the focus is now on Austin and Craig. And it's like, oh, I don't want to have to see these guys. Like, I'm so sick of it. And then no offense to them. I mean, a little offense to them. Like, I can't look at Austin.
Bless.
I mean, it was like that whole relationship with Matt. It seems so toxic.
Yeah.
So dramatic.
People, it's so weird. People, I think you have half the viewing audience eats that up, and they love it. Yeah. And they are drawn to the toxic nature of some of these shows. But then I think it also alienates a large part of the viewing audience, because some of it just gets to be too much. You obviously need drama for reality television, but there is a line, that I think is important not to cross, because it sometimes tends to turn people away.
I know you have a lot of fans. I, of course, ask people for questions in the Everything Iconic Patreon, and a lot of people, I mean, everyone loves you. And I wonder, is there another spot for you on television? Is that even of interest of you? Like a hosting thing or something outside of kind of this type of reality show?
Oh man, I would, yeah. I mean, I'm very comfortable in front of the camera. I'm not intimidated by it. So yeah, I would be open to doing something different. Not necessarily reality related. Maybe, I sell real estate, so maybe something to do with like real estate or something low key I would do.
I feel like they should put you on that Bravo chat room. Kate Chastain from Below Deck. Are you familiar with this show? It's just like
I've heard about it, and I love Kate. She's so great.
It's 4 people. They need to get you on there. Just it's like a view type thing.
I think Bravo's mad at me.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Well, we're mad at them, Cameron. The book. Talk to me about writing the book. Was it hard to pare kind of your life down into this book? Because you do talk, you get into the real world, you get into Southern Charm, you get into motherhood, all of that stuff. Like, talk to me about that process.
No, I thought it was easy, and it was kind of cathartic to write the book. It forced me, the first couple years of motherhood were just such a blur to me because I was so overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed naturally. So the book really forced me to sit down and remember and ruminate and reminisce. And I enjoyed doing it. I really did.
I'm a ghostwriter myself. Did you work with someone on the book? Did you work with that? Okay.
Michelle Bender, and she was so great. And what she did is she would send me questions, and I would basically just answer the questions. And that's kind of how the book came together.
I love that. You mentioned, we talked a little bit about motherhood, and there's a lot of great advice. And I think it's in the book, you open up about motherhood in a way that I think is rare sometimes. You talk about it being messy. And I wonder if you could tell me a little bit more about that. Do you feel like it's not talked about enough?
Well, it's, I think in today's world of the mommy blogs and the social media, women, they want to make it look too perfect sometimes. And women are held to a standard with being a mom that is just so rarely attainable. And I think a lot of women don't want to admit how hard it is for fear of being stigmatized as weak or, not woman enough or what have you. And I don't know if that's more prevalent in the South, but that's something that I definitely feel. But it's motherhood. Having a child and becoming a mom has been the most wonderful thing I've ever done, but it's also been the most incredibly hard thing that I've ever done. And it's something that I take very seriously. I think everybody should take very seriously, but doesn't change the fact that it's very hard, very, very hard.
Now, the book's been out for a couple weeks, and I'm curious what kind of messages are you getting? What's the response been for you?
I was so nervous because obviously you write a book, it's got your face and your name on it. People, with social media and you can write reviews. I'm like, oh God, please, like, I pray people like it. But so far, yeah, I've gotten amazing messages. I got a DM actually an hour ago that made me cry. It was this sweet, I wrote her back, this 21-year-old girl, and she said, Cameron, I am only 21. I'm not a mom. I'm not even anywhere close, but your book helped me so much to, listen to my gut and be true to myself. And I was just like, oh man, it made me feel really, really good. So yeah, I'm so blessed that it's resonating with people.
What is next for you? Do we have anything else to look forward to? I mean, of course, the book just came out, so it's like you probably need a little bit of a breather.
I have no idea. I've never really had a plan for my life. I kind of fly by the seat of my pants. I'm really enjoying just the simple life of being a mom. I work part-time. I'm ready for this freaking pandemic to be over.
I know, isn't it exhausting? And speaking of motherhood, I don't know how any parent is doing it right now. Like it seems like a nightmare. I'm not a parent, but
yeah. And these poor women who are like having, becoming mothers for the first time during all this, God God bless them. But yeah, I don't know what's next for me.
You know, there's some juicy details in the book. Of course, on The Real World, we saw that make out with Brad, which you talk about in there. And you also, like, around that time, you were working a lot for MTV. And I wonder, was there any other relationships? I would imagine you're stunning.
Sweet.
Was there ever any other famous men that you had dalliances with? That's a Southern word, right? Dalliances?
Dalliances, I think so. Any other famous men? Not real. I'm trying to think. Did I have
I bet there was.
No, honest to God. I mean, Danny, I'm such a prude, literally. I mean, I no. Unfortunately, I should have lived a little bit more with the men looking back, but I didn't.
Hindsight's always 2020. I think back, I'm like, why wasn't I wilder in my 20s? I wish I do
have a wild story. You know who I ran into Bruce Willis. Gosh, when was this? This was in Atlantic City when I was like in my early 20s. He hit on me. Yeah.
At the casino?
I'm sure he was wasted, but it was
Were you
fun.
tempted at all?
No, God, no.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm like, when was Bruce Willis sexy? There was like a point where he was sexy.
No.
Okay, Cameran, I got a bunch of questions people wrote in, so I want to try to run through some of these.
Okay.
So Natasha said, how are you and Jason coping with the loss of Elvis? I'm sorry about Elvis.
Poor Elvis. We had to put Elvis down, and it was, oh gosh, it was so incredibly hard. Jason loved that dog. In the 10 years I have known Jason, I've never seen him cry. He didn't cry at our wedding, didn't cry at the birth of our child. He cried. That was the first time I've seen him cry when we lost Elvis. So it's been very hard, but he was 18. He lived a great life.
Meredith Luther wants to know if you've met Shep's girlfriend.
I have still not met Taylor, but I was actually talking to Shep last night. He's like, Cameran, we've got to get lunch. I am like COVID cuckoo. Like I don't socialize. Until I get my vaccination, I'm sorry. And they see everybody. So
I'm the same way. I know. Well, Austin and Craig and all them, they're hopping all over the world, like on a, like sit tight for a little bit, guys.
And I'm I was in a vaccination trial, so I might have gotten it, but I might have not. I will not find out for 2 years. So.
Oh, I saw that on social media, and I thought about the same thing, and about doing a trial, but I feel like, what if I got the placebo one? I'd be nervous.
Yeah, you never know.
I guess that's the thing. Julia wants to know, are you and Leva back in touch? We got to meet Leva this season, and I loved her. She was great on the show, but I wish we got to see your dynamic together.
Yeah, I know. Leva and I have kind of lost touch over the past year, sadly. When she was very on the fence about doing the show, and she ended up doing it. And after the whole debacle happened with, Jason and all that being put on television, that all really upset me. And I told Leva, I was like, I don't want to hear about it. I can't talk about it. I can't even, I need to put this out of my mind. I didn't watch the show. Well, I saw one episode this season that Whitney sent me. But yeah, we have kind of lost touch, but it's not because I have anything against her or we're not friends. I don't really see anybody. So I have not physically seen her, since last year.
Did it kind of frustrate you or more than frustrate you that your marriage was made a storyline on a show that you weren't on?
Yeah, but of course it frustrated me, but it's par for the course. And that's part of the reason, again, why I chose to remove myself is when you sign that contract, anything can be falsified, any statement can be made, and it can be aired, and people can perceive it as the truth, and you have no recourse whatsoever. And you get to a point in your life where it's like, is money worth that? And it was not to me. But yeah, that was kind of ridiculous. But apparently it's happened again it's all over Instagram.
On Jersey.
New Jersey guy, poor whatever. She's had the same thing happen to her. I'm like, good Lord, is this what people do when they need a storyline.
Yeah, I watch all these shows, and it has become a thing where it's almost like at the beginning of a season, a cast member wants to kind of get it out so that everyone has a storyline for the season. But it's almost laughable now that it's so clear that it's just a lie.
And that's where I think some of these production companies need to just cut the BS. It's like any intelligent viewer can see through that, and it becomes a little bit too predictable, especially when that becomes the storyline on every single show. People start to perform because they want to keep.
Do you ever see yourself a world where you and Catherine are buddies, or is that's not?
I probably not. We never really were close over the 6 years that we filmed. It's not that I had anything against her, or I think that she had anything against me. We just were not really each other's cup of tea. Of course, when you're filming a show together, you have to do things together, but I don't know, probably not.
I love Patricia. Are you still in touch with Patricia at all?
Yes, I was at Patricia's house. Patricia is one of the few that I do see because she's very COVID safe. I was at her house last week, actually.
It was just reported that Michael, I believe he had a spinal cord stroke. Have you heard anything or any update?
He is at a rehab center in Atlanta right now. I actually was able to go and visit him in the hospital the week before, so last week before he left. And he's in good spirits. He's one of the kindest, sweetest people I've ever met. And so my prayers are with him for a full recovery. I hated to see that happened to him.
Yeah, we're all thinking about Michael. He's wonderful. Let's see. Grace wants to know, how are you coping with your anxiety having a child? She says, I know you talked a little bit about it on the show, but do you have any advice for anyone nervous or anxious about having children?
Well,
she also says, love you.
Oh, love you too. So my anxiety has my overall, I'm pretty sure that I have, whatever it's called, GAD, generalized anxiety disorder. I've self-diagnosed myself. I'm not medicated. My husband tells me every day I need to be medicated, but medication freaks me out. I know that's awful. I would probably benefit from it. So yeah, anxiety has definitely gotten worse. As far as overcoming anxiety with having a child, if you know that you actually want to have one, there's no perfect time, really. Right. And you're not going to overcome it. You just have to do it and push through it. And actually, when I was pregnant, my anxiety was actually not bad. I don't know if it was hormones or what, but it seemed to have lessened when I was pregnant. Right. But I think the most important decision she needs to make is, do I really want to have a child or not?
Right. I mean, it was interesting seeing that journey for you on the show, but I imagine it must have been tough to open up about.
It was not really that hard for me to open up about, just because it was my truth and it was something that I greatly struggled with and that I took very, very seriously. I think a lot of people just think, oh, well, you're supposed to have kids. That's what you do. If you're an adult, you have a kid. And they don't really think inward and say, is this something I really want to do or that I'm cut out to do? Like, I know 100% I am not cut out for more than one. Like, one is my limit with what I can handle and with what will not overwhelm me. I wish I could have 5 or 6, but I know I would be in a crazy room if I did.
Ariana on Vanderpump Rules, who I absolutely adore, she has been open about the fact that she doesn't want children. And the people often online, I just see it sort of from a distance, but people continuously ask her and comment. And I always think about how exhausting that would be as a woman, because men aren't constantly asked, if they want kids, if they don't have kids.
Yes.
It's like the double standard.
It's so annoying. And I'm constantly asked, when are you going to have a second one? Palmer needs a brother or a sister. You don't be selfish. Only children are lonely. I mean, I get it all. I post a picture. That's why I really don't post her on social media, because everyone's like, well, you need to give her brother, sister. And good for Ariana. I mean, I think the world of her too. Good for her for sticking to her guns and not doing something she wants to do because she feels, pressure from society. That's how people end up miserable in life. I mean, it shouldn't be such a hard concept for people to grasp that kids are not for everybody. And honestly, Ariana will probably live longer than me. She's going to age. She's going to
outlive us all.
Have less stress, go on vacation whenever she wants. Half these bitches are jealous. That's the truth. They're jealous of the child free.
100%.
I know I am sometimes.
Cameran, I want to wrap this up, but is there anything else you want to say to the fans who've watched you for so many years? I mean, I know we have to look forward to you doing the reboot of The Real World.
I would totally do it.
It's going to happen.
But I'm not making out with Brad this time.
Oh, come on. Just like one. Brad's been back on the challenge, and I love seeing like the people from back in the day on the challenge. I still watch the challenge, and it's like, I want you on the challenge. I want Veronica, Brad. I want like all of the old school people on.
Yeah, I know. As we're all like pushing 40, it's crazy. The challenges would have to be much different than they were when we were in our 20s.
I wish you would have done the OG one, Cameran.
No, I would. I'm not physical or competitive. It would have been no.
Just you eating Chick-fil-A in the corner.
Put me back in the Real World house. I would do that.
Okay, so any other things you want to leave to your fans?
Oh, well, I can't believe I even have fans, and I'm so grateful that people are liking the book and following me on social media. It's weird and crazy and amazing, and I'm blessed.
The last two questions I ask everyone, what's your favorite Mariah Carey song?
Why do you ask everybody?
Because you're the first person that's ever said, why do you ask everyone?
Why do you ask everyone?
Because I love Mariah. Mariah is like my number one. She's my everything. And I think she's been around for so many decades. She has so many wonderful hits that I.
Well, I'm sure everybody probably tells you the same thing. Probably Fantasy.
Well, no, but I love that answer. Fantasy is one of my favorites. But
Fantasy with who was it? With Old Dirty Bastard. Yes.
Cam.
Me and Mariah go back like babies with pacifiers.
A classic. It's interesting. Most people actually tell me the Christmas. A lot of people who aren't familiar with Mariah, they'll say, which is unforgivable to me, but they'll just say the Christmas one.
Fantasy.
If you were choosing for People Magazine Sexiest Man Alive, who would you choose? You can't choose the husband. You got to choose like an actor or musician.
God, either Paul Walker in his no. Okay, Paul Walker in his prime, Marky Mark in his prime, or present day Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill is just a gorgeous specimen.
He's been Sexiest Man, right? Or no?
I don't think he has. No, he hasn't been. He should be. I mean, in my thoughts, he is, but not in the magazine yet.
Yeah.
Cameran, thank you so much. I want to encourage everyone to pick up your book. It's fantastic. You really open up and it covers so much ground. I think it's a great read. Especially now, it was really enjoyable to just check out. It was a good book to check out of this current
It's
world.
light. It's light. Yeah. It's a light read, easy beach read.
Right. Well, Cameran, thank you so much. And I can't wait to see you on something soon. And I hope Bravo just backs up like a Mack truck of money and just has you come in and replace Craig. We don't need Craig narrating the show.
They won't. They don't like me.
We don't need you on camera. We just need you narrating it. Okay. Cameran, thank you so much for taking the time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.